Guess what? We're live. Take a drink. Take a drink. Welcome. Welcome, Jamie.
Yeah, welcome to the show before the show.
Show warm up. After the warm up.
115.
115. Yes. I like that. It's more than 100, but less than 200.
Less than 122. If you know, you know.
All right. Yes. Right. 122.
And we'll just leave it there.
So, we have a few things we want to talk about today. One, a little bit of a recap of Jamie's Boston trip.
Yeah, we almost did. We almost did the Jamie remote in the Boston. Did a lot of sketches though, which was good. Sort of felt the rejuvenated sketching. I think the urban explorer in me came out, which I truly appreciate.
It looks like for San Francisco.
Yeah, well, it looks like also, I was going to say, it looks like you might have grass in your backyard.
I actually never lost grass. It never really went dormant.
Well, that's good.
We didn't have that much snow in Michigan, although we've been having crazy rain. I actually have a little water in the basement because we have basements here in Michigan.
Yeah, not here.
And
but you got the party light. You got the party lights in the backyard, which I have to say, look awfully similar to the party lights that I have in my backyard. So
came with the house, and they stay with the house.
Nice. They convey.
There's actually speakers too.
You're like, party lights convey, right?
Convey.
Before we make an offer, they convey. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes. Put it on the paper.
Put it in writing. Come on.
Yeah,
don't make me pay for those. So
they're attached to the house. That's why.
Yeah.
If it's an inside joke for anybody's watching, it's what we do. Keep the ship afloat. Bribes. Here's a casual bribe for the viewers. Those on Twitch or YouTube.
Politicking. Buy us coffee.
Yeah. So Jamie doesn't even know about all the shenanigans of what Ko-Fi. I'm gonna say coffee because it rhymes with Coffee Sketch Podcast.
Yeah, lean into it.
So there's this. I'm sure our listeners, our viewers are familiar with this. Probably more familiar with it than I am. But this is the casual plea. If you appreciate what we're doing, please, maybe throw a little support our way. We would love, to give you a shout out. I mean, we're in it for the love of what we do. This is my personal plea, our combined personal plea. But anything that supporters would gift to us is only going into making Jamie's technology better. Yeah, yours.
Okay. All right.
Because and maybe buy Jamie some more pens.
There you go. If we could just get Pilot Pen to just recognize my love for them, and yeah, I mean, no, they're not the most expensive pen in the world, but damn if they don't have a really good pen. So, and I'm also not afraid to lose it. So that's that's maybe the benefit of the non-expensive pen.
There you go.
Yes, sponsor us, Pilot Pen, please.
This is the fun part about how quickly I can switch the subtitles.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave that up there. It's one of these. Have you ever heard of pay to play?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. It's
we're not too shy.
we're not too shy. No, like, just give me a bag of pens. Just send me a bag of pens. Not a bag of pin. Not a bag of pins. A bag of pens. Because we got a bag of pens. Because we got the pin.
We do have pins.
On that side. There it is. There it is.
Hiding. That's oh, I see. You're pointing at the logo.
Yeah, the logo is a pin.
Is the pin.
It is.
So there are a few things that I've been thinking of on our journey to San Francisco that I haven't even mentioned to you. But you know, we have the pin. We don't have the pen. We don't have the mug. We don't have the T-shirt.
There you go. I have heard everyone likes a good T-shirt. So.
And I think that logo that Jamie designed is fantastic.
Well, like, as you know, and you know this about me, is like after I draw something, I'm not a big fan of it anymore. So I might want to revisit it. So that's a definite possibility as well. So
a season 5 refresh?
A season 5 refresh could be in the works.
Wow. I really like it though. I don't know.
Okay. Well, maybe
got a high bar.
Well, maybe it's like the good old like supporter scarf, right, for soccer.
Like
so you have, well, it's sort of like an alternate kit, right? It's like you've got the one side that sort of shows the, you know, pays homage to the past, and then you've got the new side that's like, we're here for today. Did you like that click? I just like did some weird click thing. I don't know what was that, but that's a new thing. But
it's all good.
I told you there would be giggles in this episode, at least in the pre-show. So, are we ready to get at it?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay.
Perfect. Let me turn off the shameless plug for now. We'll bring that back.
Okay.
We will. And then we're gonna flip our intro, and we'll be right back. Hey Jamie, how you doing?
Good. Can I just say that I really do love that intro you made? I mean,
thanks. I unlike you, I still like it too.
Yeah, I do. I mean,
oh no, we were just talking about before the official intro.
Yes.
Jamie doesn't like many sketches that once they're out, they fall out of grace, I suppose.
Yeah, when they're out in the wild, it's just like you kind of, it's like on to the next one. So,
well, thanks. The intro.
That's my lyrical drop for the day. So
I was gonna say that the intro makes me look young and thin, and I feel neither of those things anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, like we didn't even do it in the intro, like the show before the show, but like for those of you who know Kurt and his orange pants, apparently the orange pants are just, a thing of the past. So,
They went to Goodwill though, so they're going to be someone else's orange pants.
Well, and and that's the whole thing is like it's just, it was a way to like I'm here, like showing up to the party, or the keynote, or the staff meeting, or the whatever. Kurt was ready, like. So was Vegas the last like really hurrah for the orange pants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll just leave it in Vegas. So.
Yeah, pretty much. They also represent a sort of a what do you call it? A transition in career. You
Oh,
know, like they weren't specifically purchased for the place I used to work, but um, that place I used to work, the firm I left to go off on my own, was a fan of orange in the branding,
oh,
and so I didn't necessarily intentionally go burn them in effigy or something.
well,
But
that is
I
that is
goodwilled them and said let's kind of move past orange for a little while.
that is not where I thought this story was going. So,
Oh,
so
yeah.
as we have a sip from our cups, so what's the coffee of the day in the Kurt and D household? Even though D is not the coffee purveyor that Kurt is.
Non-participant.
Yeah.
I'm still working through my Starbucks Italian roast,
Okay.
and I gotta say, I'm gonna try and do this as politely as possible. I don't know if I'm a huge fan. It's let's say it's not one of those. It's not necessarily a daily drinker for
Okay.
me. I think that it's a very dark roast.
Right.
And you know how I can tell? Well, aside from certain color and labels on the bag,
Right.
but I use a grinder, right? Like a little hand grinder.
Yeah.
The darker roasts, because they must roast them longer or something. I don't know what they do. I still haven't figured that part out. But the beans are softer.
Oh.
Like they grind a lot easier. So like a light roast, it's a harder bean.
Interesting.
It grinds much. It's more difficult to grind. And I thought that was interesting. I started to pick up on that. So mediums in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and the dark roasts are fairly easy to grind. They kind of, and then the light roasts are a little more stiff.
Like a more complex flavor, maybe. Is there a correlation?
I don't know. Well,
Well, and I mean complex flavor, like not like bitter or darker or heavier, but I mean like has more. Like when we've talked about some of the roasts recently, like we talk about citrus notes and all these different kind of flavor profiles and stuff. And I'm just sort of, as you're saying that, I'm wondering, do the beans that are harder to grind, do they have more complex flavors? Maybe a question to think about.
Yeah, I think I will. The funny thing, the last thing I'll say about this Italian roast, that Danielle's like, is something burning? when I make a cup of coffee and have it, steaming away next to her, she's like, is something on fire? So anyways, Danielle maybe not a fan either.
Not a fan. Yeah.
What about you?
I am finishing up the Little City, the second one that I had gotten, the Karangi, which is the apricot toffee and blackberry flavored, and I'm kind of a fan. I'll say that this is one I'm going to get again, but I think my next one from Little City, I'm going to have to go back to some of the old favorites, like Grackle. Yeah, Grackle. They've got that one down. So
yeah, I think the next bag is going to be our old friends at Rootless as well. So
yep.
I'm actually intrigued. I don't know if I'll do it right away though. Rootless has a dark roast they call dark.
Yes.
And now I kind of want to go from Italian roast to dark and compare. Dark.
Well, you should. I mean, as a pure experiment for this show, like.
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You twist my arm. That wasn't very hard.
No, it was not hard at all. Thank you.
So you want to talk about the recap?
I'm still processing this whole like orange is now not a color in your life. So,
Well,
but it's okay, and it's totally okay because I had a discussion in our office. For those of us who understand Texas, um, we had a project come through, and everything was fine, and the community was really happy with the work that was done on it, liked the concepts, but they said, before we present it to anybody else, could you maybe change the color? And so they asked someone on my team, like, would you change it to maroon? And because it was like it was a red. It was like an off tone red, not a USC maroon, right?
that's
So
cardinal.
yeah, that's more cardinal, right? So like more like Dakota ring, So I'm in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I am an Aggie architect. And so when you hear the word maroon and you've spent any time in College Station,
Right.
you like it just, you can see the color, you can't miss it. It's like mentally emblazoned in your brain. And so that's what I was explaining to this team member, was like, who's not from Texas. I was like, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that if anybody like pulls, could this red be more maroon? They're probably
An
Aggie, or there's probably someone has said, what would be really nice for this is, so anyhow, yeah, that's my color selection story. Yes.
I mean, stick to what you know and love, right?
Sure.
So here, I gotta switch screens, but let's dive into. So I don't know, I don't have them in a great order, or maybe I do, but you want to start left to right as we do in this country, or just pan?
Yeah, you can just pan. I mean, I just say that, yeah. So we were talking about that. We were trying to maybe pull off like a podcast last week while I was in Boston, and over the weekend, but that didn't happen. But I did do a lot of sketches, so that's great. Got to point at some maps and do some presentations.
Like this?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, like so. Actually attended a national conference for Main Street America, and they had 2,000 attendees, which is pretty good. One of their largest conferences, I think. But people from all over the country who are doing preservation-based economic development, and Texas had a really good contingent. And pre-conference, the architects and designers who are sort of my counterparts from other states doing similar work, we met and had sort of 2 days of tours and education sessions and camaraderie and all that good stuff. And so I got to present a session on sort of design professionals on Main Street and sort of the development process. My subtitle for this was sort of "To Architect or Not to Architect," but it was great. And there I'm pointing at how big Texas is relative to the New England Northeast region.
Oh yeah, I see that now. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it was sort of fun because like I pointed out like, hey, here's where Austin is, where we're located. And then picked up 3 like major cities up there: New York, Boston, and Washington, D.C. And ironically, Washington, D.C. was on the border of Texas, so the southern border. So just sort of worked out that way.
But do you have a train that goes from Boston to D.C.?
There is absolutely no trains. Or
let's say South Texas to Northeast Texas.
No, it's a lot of it's not all horses. It's a lot of cars. So just a lot of cars.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember if we go back to a few seasons ago when I visited the great state for the Texas conference in Galveston, where you land in Houston and then you sit in traffic for a while.
Yeah.
There's more lanes of traffic on the way to Galveston from Houston than I could imagine on Earth, and
Well,
yet they didn't take you anywhere.
and not only that, but you and I, like, after you landed, then we decided to like really go on an adventure and go pick up Ilya
Oh
and
yeah,
and continue to drive around like downtown Houston, like good barbecue, lots of fun museums, and then made the trek to Galveston. So yeah, we know how to do it. We know how to do it right.
but I've never. If it wasn't for you, I mean, we literally sat. We went one exit past, turn around, one exit back, one exit past, turn around, one exit back, like 3 or 4 times. At least so it's what it felt like. But isn't that what we did? We like circled because we couldn't get the right. I don't know. It was like
We were,
crazy.
we were trying to get to Ilya's hotel to drop him off. Yes. Yeah. It was a little bit.
And we just couldn't.
Yeah. Well, it was Houston and it was Texas and it was construction and yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah. Nevertheless, this is the reason why I have no desire to live in Houston.
Your
So-
patience was excellent.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
Because
that.
I don't know if I could have handled it. So
That's why we did barbecue before that. So
I was
that
I was
you-
pretty content afterward. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm really missing that barbecue. Gotta
So
go back.
so anyhow, yeah. So the conference was fun. The sketch there on the screen, that was in Roslindale, which is like I'll sort of refer to it as sort of an exurb of Boston, but it was one of the first urban Main programs, like urban Main Streets in the Main Street network. So like 40 years ago, it became a Main Street city or Main Street community. And kind of born out of the experiment of Main Streets in the U.S., sort of as an organization and as preservation-based economic development. But that was our first day. We did the architect group toured it with the original manager, which was fantastic, as well as the new manager, and then did some education sessions in this building that's in the sketch, which I really loved it. And what was fun was like we're in this building and like I don't know if you've had this experience, but when you see a building and you're like, this is a really neat building, like there's like I love like it's been renovated and all this kind of stuff, and it's a public library, but I'm like for some reason it seems really familiar, and I'm like in a community in a city I've never been in before, and in this particular case hadn't done a lot of research on where we were going to be touring, and so while I'm in the building, I Google the building I'm in. And sure enough, there's a Metropolis article that pops up on an architecture firm that did a rehabilitation of this just a few years before. And it was great. Great description of the work. And, but yeah, kind of a 1960s space age library that they renovated and did a really great job. So
Does it fit into the Googie theme?
It's a bit Googie, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. The central core, it's basically a large semicircle. It from the street, it feels more complete circle. Yeah, but it's a semicircle. It really captures the corner. sighted really, really well. So that whole glass piece is really responding to it. To the left is where they did a lot of renovation work that was clearly more modern. Some education classrooms and things like that. To that side, that's where we were. And then to the right of the sketch, they activated some exterior space. And so you're sort of seeing that little fence area there. So that was kind of fun. It was neat project, for a historic district, blending ages and times and all that stuff. So I liked it.
Yeah, it's
And we
it's
used
fun.
we used the train to get there. So
Oh, excellent. The T, right?
Yes.
Boston T, right? Yeah. So, yeah, it's nice. I mean, it has the sketch captures a fairly simple sort of semicircle or this arc in plan. Curving facade. Looks like there's a little dome in the middle. And sometimes those simple gestures for a design are the way to go versus trying to sort of collide more things together to generate some more interest or overexcited interest.
Well, and the thing I think that I was trying to capture with the sketch too was, because I appreciated this for it being a library on a corner in the form that it is that the glass that's sort of curving right there at the corner is the main stack space. So it really is sort of a reflection of indoor and outdoor. And so tried to get a sense of that with the sketch relatively quickly. The lights are sort of on the pinwheel back towards the center. So I think it works. I think it works. It works as a memory mark for me of kind of that experience. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and so, let's see, what else did you want to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, like maybe this is the swag that we need to consider.
I know.
I know. Yeah. So I thought this was pretty clever. So one of the things that they do for our Main Street conference is, like I said, there's attendees from communities all over the country who are coming to this for education and ideas and camaraderie and making connections. And then there's a series of professionals that are there, like myself, from different disciplines. And so what we do ahead of time is we're asked to kind of sign up for, basically a 2-hour block. And they call it is Dr. Downtown. And people can show up and not schedule an appointment with the doctor.
Oh, like a constituents.
Yeah, and
need
sort
a
of
little feedback.
little feedback. They've got a little issue, or they got some ideas of something like, where should we go? What should we do? In our community, kind of explain the problem. And so they have these nice little tablets of paper, all
That's
branded
cool.
and stuff, which I thought was pretty clever.
Yeah.
So I did it for 2 hours. They also have lab coats for us. So there was it was like a cosplay moment, of Architect of Downtown. It was very strange.
So we need coffee sketch barista jackets.
Ooh, no, not barista. We need smocks.
Smocks. Yes.
Smocks.
Aprons. Smock apron.
I'm. There's yeah.
We'll put a pin in that one. But
Yeah.
I like the idea too, and I think that's a useful amount, or what do you call it? Requirement, or I don't know, request of your time, and then the value to the constituent groups, say the cities, municipalities that are kind of there trying to gain some ideas and things like that.
Yeah.
Or main streets.
Well, right. I mean, and it's and yeah,
Yeah.
and even for myself, I mean, it's an opportunity to talk to people from another community, another state. You know, um, so I think someone wants to go outside.
Yeah, she's all right. She's a faker.
Oh yeah, I have one of those.
Because
Yeah,
right there, if I move my finger, is the jar of
of the
goodies.
treats. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so this one will, I'll open the door. Anyway, as an aside, I'll open the, oh, well, Danielle's got it covered. Open the door. Look. Oh, that's the fake out. You see it?
Yeah,
It
like you
backed
open the
right up.
door. Yeah, like
And she didn't
but
go.
she's like, but the jar is right there. Like,
Look at this. Look at this sad dog.
yeah,
She's she's like this.
yeah. Come on.
Show me the money. Oh, the life of a dog could be worse, huh? So, do you want to? There's a few more sort of sketches from the week. One of which is uh, the MLK Memorial. If you wanted to
Yes.
talk about that
Yeah.
a little
So,
bit.
and I apologize for not remembering the artist's name. We'll put it in the show notes. But this just opened. And so this is in downtown Boston in the park. It's quite large. You can see in the sketch, pencil sketch this time. So, not ink sketch. And that was purposeful on my part because I really, it's a large bronze statue. And I really did not feel like I was going to render this well with just cross hatching in ink. And so had a very small pencil with me, which you can see there in the sketch as well. And this sculpture, unfortunately, has been a little bit controversial, but it's I like the idea of it. The name of it is called The Embrace, and it's Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King in a it's a depiction of a famous photo of them in a sense where they're kind of holding on to one another, kind of giving each other a hug. And but their heads are not visible in this sculpture, and so it's kind of a idea of a, I guess, universality. And but from this, I think what the controversy is that from certain vantage points, as a three-dimensional piece, like this headless sculpture doesn't look good. And
Oh,
I'll leave it there. I'm not going to say much
oh,
more about that. Um, but from other vantage points, especially this particular one that I did the sketch from, I think it's pretty amazing. There's uh, lots of people who want to interact with it, take pictures with it. I think the scale of it feels right for the space. Um, there you see a really skeletal urban backdrop behind it,
mhm.
so it's on kind of on the edge-ish of the park. Um, but I love it. I mean, but that's the thing is um, I love sculpture, and seeing things like this live as opposed to in a picture, I think is the way to really judge it or be critical of it.
Well, for sure. I mean, we've talked about that in the past quite a bit. Is kind of withholding a full assessment until seeing something with your own eyes, and it's something that we tell our students all the time, right? Is go visit. As I don't know how many times you have to like pound it into their head. Go to the site. Go to the space. Go see this building. Go there. Like you have the opportunity. Go to it. What does it do when you're there versus the sort of the still imagery? Like and something like this too has a lot of different perspectives from as you walk around it or even into it or underneath it and things kind of around it. And so, um,
Well, and
yeah, it's a
one
nice
thing,
sketch. Yeah.
well, and as you say that, it was so I was with one of my team members, and I pointed out to him while we were in the park. I said, look at where the grass has been walked on,
Mm,
and so I was like, and at that point, like I gravitated to that spot, and this is where that sketch is. So this is the vantage point that's not on one of the axial paths to the sculpture. This is kind of off of that path, and I thought in my vantage point, I felt like this was particularly the one that resonated with me.
yeah, it's a nice sketch. I might even steal this and show it to my students tomorrow. We were talking about vignettes lately,
Mm-hmm. Right,
and in their case, it's going to be from a computer model, but trying to encourage them to understand where the eye should be, right?
right,
Where
right,
is the horizon and where is the eye? And and then your human figure in the sketch for scale helps in perspective, like sort of put some dimension to the sculpture as well.
right.
And
Well,
yeah.
and like the very simple skeletal, like Jamie tree, like squiggle, you get the idea very quickly. Like for those who aren't seeing the sketch, um, the sculpture is the part that's rendered the most, and it's shade shadow. This is a very traditional, um, you know, this is an Art One project. If you've ever taken an Art One class where it's here's your still life, render this still life with shade and shadow. Try not to draw any straight lines. And I think that that's really where I was trying to work the image that way. And then like you said, the vignette aspect of it is okay, I want to center this still life with a person for scale, and then the environment with these squiggly little trees that are barely there, and then this very tall, what appeared to be like an apartment building across the street. And instead of trying to render every floor and every window, it was like you get the sense there's a big building back there.
Yep. Yeah.
That's enough.
Exactly. Yeah. It's it's funny. I was doing a little homework of my own to try and get ready for tomorrow's lecture, and I mean, you're checking all the boxes that the tutorials. I just wanted to make sure I was on the right track, but framing, and you have this distance, this sort of blurry background that creates a little more depth, but also some field for the focal point in the middle, which you added all the ornament and texture too. So anyway, yeah. So you checked all the boxes. So I'm just standing here going, yeah. As Jamie's explaining this,
So
like,
as
yeah.
Kurt's grading me, I think I did okay on today's exercise. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Horizon. It's all about that horizon. So yeah, thanks. I mean, I think it's great. The pencil too. Sometimes, um, too, it's the tool that you have at hand. We kind of talk about that a lot, but I gotta switch views here. But we can all get caught up in like our software or pens or pencils or the rendering techniques and things like that. But you got to use what you got at the time, and that little simple golf caddy pencil is capable of many things through the hand.
Yeah, and I'm glad you described it that way, because that's probably where it came from. Is like some like foot golf experience where it's like, here's this little tiny little pencil.
It's the
I'll throw that in my bag, which goes in the pocket when you're out exploring, and like you never Not afraid to lose it, but at the same time you've got it, so it's all good.
Funny, in studio last week, um, there was a cup of like a cup full of pens that the students are like, meh, whatever, it's just random pens. I don't know. I don't know where they came from. Blah 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 blah. And there was a sign pen, Pentel sign pen, in there, a blue one. And I was like, oh well, I was like, pulled this out. Well, this is like one of the best sketching pens there is. This sign pen, it's like I'm just gonna keep. I don't get paid much. I'll just might as well keep this.
You're like, I'm pilfering. You're like,
Yeah, I was like, yeah, put it in my pocket. The students didn't care.
right.
They didn't even understand the power of the Pentel.
They're not even
Anyway.
they're not even going to the site. Let's they're just not.
Right. Yeah. Well, why would I go there if I could just Google Earth it?
Yeah, like Google Street, like Google Street View. Come on, like no,
Well,
no.
Before we
not the same.
Devolve into this sort of hate shade throwing. That's the way to say it, right?
There's no shade like in Google Street View. Like we all do it, but let's be honest. You have to inhabit the space. So
yeah,
like the instincts take over. I mean, like you're there, and like the instincts take over, and
which I would imagine is a good segue to this last two views from Boston, right? It's like so. On the right, you were teasing me, and you were like, "Oh, check out this H.H. Richardson building," and then a couple of hours later, this sketch on the left appears on Instagram. And so you just told me before we started, that one is across the street from the other, right?
Yeah. And, so, Blank Slate Coffee in Boston is excellent, and conveniently located a block away from the building that basically started the Richardsonian Romanesque period. That many American cities have tried to emulate. And, I mean, these are, when we're talking about architecture and architecture history and architectural styles, this is one that, is arguably very, very American. And from an architect that this is one of his earliest buildings. So Trinity Church, this building faces the Boston Public Library. So there's kind of a well, not the brutalist one, the original one. So it faces the original side, not the Johnson brutalist edition. And so those two kind of have this little dialogue with one another, which I think is great. So Paycob Freed or whatever. I think was that right? So Trinity Church was an amazing building to go into. And I think because I did it on the day I did, there wasn't a whole lot of people there. So it was a space like that I appreciated even from the scale of it with just not a lot of folks in it. And then enjoyed the coffee at the multi-story kind of brownstone walk-up.
I see they're down in the storefront, huh?
Yeah, they're down in the storefront, exactly.
Very cool. Blank Street, huh?
Blank Street.
Yeah, that looks like it's just a nice little, I don't know, vignette.
Well, and what's funny is you sort of said this, I think before we got on air today, was that sort of the Boston trip for me, and especially, falling on this sketch as the last one today, it feels very San Francisco.
Mm.
And so, the fact that the two of us are going out to A23 in June, and I'm just excited to add more stuff to the list things to go see.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's been a few years, and I think that's the cue to wrap it up. Is that the Jamie cue to wrap it up? Does it work if I say it out
I,
loud?
that's the peering in Kurt's brain. Yes.
But 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 I agree. We the last time we did this was in 2019 in Las Vegas, which can be arguable. Is Las Vegas? I mean, it actually wasn't that uninteresting as an architectural conference site, given what we perceive Las Vegas to be. But yeah, San Francisco, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. And 3 years in between since the last time we've done a conference together, so I'm excited for that
Yeah,
as
it's been a
well.
while. Yeah. Well, and even just like our preview video, like that last image of us is like that's 2018, buddy, in New York City. So
Right. Yeah. It's
when
only been a
when
few.
when we were just coming up with the idea for this podcast.
That's true. That's right. Yeah. That's right. We germinated this idea in the middle of or in the conference in New York, and that was that picture. It's so sentimental now, Jamie. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, yes.
I I better go before I
there's,
start
there's,
crying.
there's tears. Yes, literal tears. Okay. Thanks, buddy. This was great.
Yes. Thanks. Thanks a lot.